We're going to talk about the material and pre-conference. The first thing is the authorization of the sale of beer and wine, proposal number 1. It's authorizing sale and beer of wine to Utica Center for Development. Utica Center for Development is a sponsor. July 4th celebration, Saturday, August 31st, 5 to 10 p.m., Proctor Park, 900 Culver Ave. Any questions? If no questions, we'll move on to the next piece. It's a public hearing on 909 Saratoga Street. It's my district. It looks like it's a vacant lot for $250. Venice or Beatrice, would you like to talk about it, or? I know it came through. You guys good with that?
Yeah, that's good.
It's good? Yeah. Very good. Thank you, guys. The next one's proposition number 3. It's a sale of URA of 909 Saratoga Street, $250. Very good. Next one, proposition number 4, public hearing and a sale of 1539 Howard Ave. Councilman Irvin, that's your you're good with that? Thank you. Proposition number 5, Councilman Irvin, you good again? You're good. Proposition number 6, limited parking on.
Yeah, I am. This is in front of Liberty Street. It's been a long time coming, so thank you to the police department for helping us get this all set for great rentals and everybody out in that little area on that side of the street. So I am all set with this.
You're good with that? Any questions? No questions? Number 7 is the police complement. I'll turn the floor over to Chief Williams if you'd like to speak on it.
Thank you. So currently in our department, we have 3 captains. One's assigned to the support division, the other one is assigned to the criminal investigation division, and the third one's assigned to the uniform patrol division. We currently have, out of 170 sworn police officers, we have 111 of those are assigned under uniform patrol. The span of control for that one captain, in our opinion, if you look at all his duties, is way too much for the amount of officers he has under his command. When you factor in the fact that he oversees our Metro SWAT unit, he's planning for all the city events. Some of these events last multiple days, like the Women's World Hockey Tournament. There was a 13-day event. We have another event coming up, the World Lacrosse Tournament at the auditorium. That'll be another 10-day event. And you look at the Boilermaker, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Memorial Day Parade, fireworks, Tunnels for Towers race, and the Fallen Leaves race, and the Bank of Utica party. These are all details that not only involve traffic, but they also involve operational plans for safety, which he's responsible for. But on top of that, he's also responsible for the discipline for the other 111 officers as well. It is my opinion, on top of that, that he also has under his command domestic violence units, community outreach teams, traffic units. He is the liaison to the Utica School District for school safety, the crisis response team, overseeing the animal control operations that we just inherited, and the school crossing guards and the mobile field force unit. And in the past, we always used to have, prior to the captains being cut, 4 captains, 2 that were assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division, and it worked well. One worked days, and the other one worked nights one worked 8 to 4, the other one worked 4 to 12. They gave me 16 hours of coverage with a higher ranking officer on duty. What they newly created captain's position would do is that he would oversee the operations for the 3 uniform patrol platoons, ensure the discipline and training for those 111 officers, while the current captain would take care of all those ancillary units, including all the special details that go with it. Any questions?
I do. Can you elaborate on why the captain was removed to begin with? Was that while you were chief?
We faced budget cuts back in 2012, and that's when the complement was reduced from 4 captains down to 3.
Sure. Okay, and then my last question, maybe this is a legal question as well. Are we, the way that this reads, I know that we had the 5 police officers that through attrition, we would end up going back to 165 after December 31st, 2024. The way that this reads, I don't know if I'm just misunderstanding it, but is this technically going to go from 170 down to 166, or is it going to go back to 165?
Based on the legislation, it would go down to 165. I'm hoping we could retain those 5 positions based on the multiple details and services we provide. If those 5 positions are limited, I had to cut services, and I'd have to figure out where those services would be cut.
Yeah, and then I guess with law, is that how this is written? Then it goes back down to 165 as it stands.
That is correct. The overall complement.
Right, and I'm open to the conversation of how
Sure.
we retain and support our police department, and I'm okay with this. I know that I know that it was an expense. I think it was, how much? It was $60,000 more to do
It's
this?
about $50,000 more.
Mhm.
And right now, we have a vacancy that will remain vacant for 8 months, which we won't be able to fill if we're able to back in coming up in May. And that alone is a savings of $55,000.
Yes, so seeing how our budget did have those extra positions added, we do have the salaries, the funding for it in police lines, from what I can tell. So I'm for this. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? No? Very good. Thank you again, Chief.
Mike, did you want to say anything?
No, I just, as long as you were okay with the budget stuff.
Yeah, my only question, and you know, I spoke with the mayor today, and I spoke with the chief today, was to make sure that the funds were there to make sure that this gets filled in. I'm not looking to tax the taxpayers any more than we have already. So this will fit in this year, and I was given their word that we do have funds available to man this, so I'm happy with it, and I think the more we could help the police department out and to work things out with them, I'm happy with. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely in favor of it, and I'm also in favor of start to plan from now to try and keep those 5 policemen, not wait till the last minute. We should work on a plan to try and keep them, because we definitely can't afford to lose them. So if we could start planning from now instead of waiting till the deadline, I think we should do that. But I'm definitely in favor of this.
If I could just add to that, we did anticipate this sunset clause coming up, and we applied for, about a year ago, what they call a COPS hiring grant, and we got approved for it. It doesn't cover the entire salary for those 5 officers, but it covers roughly about half of it.
And we can't afford to lose any.
Thank you.
If I may, or anybody else?
Nope.
Sorry to take back the floor. Like I said, I'm open to adding those positions. It's just, as this one specifically reads, if we go back to 106 positions of police officers, right now we have 110, going down to 106, that's only eliminating 4. Shouldn't this read 105 police officers is what it would read?
Oh, to account for the loss of the,
The 5. And like I said, I'm totally open to the conversation of where that goes, but I just want to be clear on that legislation. I don't want to just we're passing it through this way if it's not.
that can be amended to say down to 105.
Okay. I have that one on the floor.
The overall complement is not going to change regardless. It's just going to be
The 165.
the overall complement is going to be reduced by.
And then what does this look like?
5.
So when we are ready to extend, we just, when would we have to make the changes? When would we have to make the legislation to increase the complement permanently then?
Whenever the council chooses to permanently increase the complement. This will, essentially, with that provision C, subsection C, it's gonna automatically reduce
Just-
down.
okay.
So if the council wishes to increase it at some point thereafter,
Am I correct in saying it reduces down through attrition?
Right. As it goes.
Technically speaking, our ordinance shouldn't be through a sunset clause anyways, because we still have to come back and adjust it, no matter what it says.
Well, and that's where I think we should have these conversations early, and
Katie, this legislation was passed by you.
I still have
With
the
that-
floor.
with that
if you-
done,
I
so-
still have the floor. So I'm, like I said, I'm for these conversations. I'd just like to get ahead of this, and maybe we don't need to do a sunset clause if we know what we need as a city. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
Sure. I actually do have a couple questions, and this is for the chiefs. As far as the sunset clause goes, I mean, obviously this was put in there. I didn't support it. I supported the legislation at the end, but I don't think that sunset clauses should be in ordinances. I mean, you can't, an ordinance doesn't revert back. That was the whole point of not being allowed to do the fire department increase in their complement, without having, unless they got the SAFER grant. I mean, so, you know, we had two, I didn't think that B and C should have been in this legislation. My recommendation that B and C would have been taken out, because this just goes specifically speaking to adding that captain back in that position. So, I mean, adding those back in there kind of reiterates back to the original ordinance that probably should have never had that in there. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, we definitely need those 5 officers. And when that time comes, I'll be glad to try to justify it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think that that's something that we honestly have to have a committee meeting about, and I thought that even having that sunset clause at the end of December, I think it was December 31st, 2024, which was the end of this year, that money was already running out. It wasn't until after you received more resources in order to keep those officers on. Because according to the ARPA funding, that would have ran out at the end of last year.
I'm not sure when that money
Runs out?
runs out. I'm
The
not sure.
ARPA money?
Okay, all right, thanks, Chief.
We have till the end of next year, but when does the grant kick in? The grant kicks in 2025, right?
Katie, can you repeat that?
I'm talking to
I know, I didn't hear what you said, though.
the grant. So we have the ARPA money that went to the end of this year. That's
No.
paying for the police officers, and then the grant kicks in January 2025, correct?
If you approve.
If you approve it.
The
then-
grant? I thought we already did. It passed through E&A a few months ago. $625,000.
For the cops hiring grant?
Yeah,
Excellent. I'm glad it's approved.
I'm pretty sure we already
Yeah.
did that. Did we not? Or I passed it in E&A.
I wasn't made aware of
came
it,
to
but
the-
again, then it's.
It's in our budget now, I think. Yeah, we'll look at it,
we
but
anticipate
good to know.
the sun-
We'll have a whole committee meeting on it.
I'm sorry.
I'm all set with questions. Thank you.
So we anticipate the sunset clause would come up and try to preserve those 5 positions. We applied for a cops hiring grant last year, in which we got it approved. It doesn't pay for the entire salary, but it pays for roughly half for those officers up to 5 years. Yeah.
Any other questions?
so I guess I'll just note, so there just does need to be amendment made on the floor to change that from 106 to 105.
Duly noted, thank you.
Are we passing this tonight?
Unless somebody's got a problem with it.
So why, why is B and C still in there? If this doesn't affect the actual piece of legislation that we're passing tonight? If this goes
I'm
back
not
in the
going to pass it
sunset.
tonight without BNC. We can have a whole nother
I don't
committee
know
meeting
what-
to
I don't know what
revisit this
she's-
if we
I don't know
want,
what
but
she's saying. I
So-
can't, Katie, you gotta speak into your microphone. I'm not trying to be rude. I
it's
really can't
literally
hear what
like
you're saying.
right here.
So I'm fine with I will go on it tonight as long as B and C stays as is, but if we want to start taking out those things, I'd just like a whole nother committee meeting on it.
But they
So
should be
to
a
So
separate.
to be clear, I did that so that when you rescind that entire section, you're replacing it with exactly what was there. That was the purpose of that. I can rescind A, but B, and make it clear, but there can't be any changes to the actual amendment, because then you're gonna mess up what's currently in existence right now.
Well, I guess I didn't understand why, if we're adding the captain in, why B and C are still in there if they don't have anything to do with the actual legislation?
Because I took that whole section, including A, B, and C, to show, so when we redo it, and E-code is aware of it, they know that we're keeping B and C.
It just says amending, that's why I wasn't rescinding. It's fine, you can keep that in there, it really doesn't have anything to do with it. I was just saying they should be 2 separate pieces. Without that in there, if you're just taking.
Well, we're now also having to amend section C. So it just makes sense to have it all in one piece. And the council amends it to read as follows. So they'll replace it with what's here.
Yeah, no, I get that, and that should be another whole discussion, because according to the way this reads, it said it's not intended to permanently increase the position of the complement after December 31st as vacancies occur in the borough by retirement, or otherwise, the complement of police officers shall be reduced by attrition. So, to me, and this was part of the issue that I had when bringing this up originally, was what happens if you don't have those officers retired? Then those people that were hired through that lose their job before that date, or
So my understanding of the intent of the legislation was that if there was no vacancies, it wouldn't go into effect until there was a vacancy. So as vacancies occurred, even if they're after that date, then it wouldn't be replaced, if it stood as it's written. The intent was never to lose any jobs, the intent was to as vacancies occurred, they would not.
right, and that was the whole point. What was the point of putting in the sunset clause? Because then obviously you hit a budget for those monetary amounts no matter what, even if the money ran out. So it kind of defeated the purpose of having those both in there. And that was kind of my point. What was the point of having it in there if we knew that by every retirement that you had, we should have got a piece of legislation, either reduce the complement or, we don't reduce the complement. And I guess that was my original argument, was why have that in there? Because you still have to approve those monetary amounts inside the budget for that.
Gotcha, yeah,
Okay.
above me,
Thank you.
that's the way I understood the legislation.
That's why it shouldn't be in there. You should be coming back to us at each time that there's a retirement, and we should be reducing the complement through attrition, because we have to budget for these people no matter what, not being under the assumption that they were done December 31st of 2024, and having to keep applying for grants. Does that make sense?
It does.
Thank you. Okay.
But we should keep applying for grants.
No, I would say, yes, I'd keep applying for grants, but it would be smarter for the council, rather than keeping people on that we don't have budgeted for, unless it's reduced through the complement.
Understood.
Any other questions? And the last piece is from Councilmember Beatrice.
Yes, I'll talk on that. So my goal was to be able to have a committee meeting on the issue that we're having with homeless. Per our rules state that you have to have legislation in committee in order to have a meeting. Last week, I seen that Herkimer passed legislation, okay? So my goal was to bring this legislation, put it in committee, okay? And now next week, or 2 weeks, we can have a meeting with all the other parties involved to try to do whatever we need to do, okay? So we can all be a team on this, take any part of that legislation that is not applicable. I would never try to pass that legislation in the form it's in. I want it so we can all be together, have the police, have the mayor, possibly somebody from the county, somebody from codes. We have a problem here, okay? I mean, alone, last week, I witnessed at Utica Coffee, homeless guy was begging for money. We gave him food. At 3 in the afternoon, he hit a lady over the head. Going to the tribute for Mayor Devereaux last Friday, 5 o'clock, driving down Varick Street, 3 people sleeping in the street. You go down Genesee Street during the daytime, over by what's the club there? I'm sorry. Fort Schuyler Club. People sleeping in the street all the time. I had witnessed it myself, and I'm not sure they're homeless. I got an 82-year-old stepfather, handicapped. He came into his house, robbed him while he was there. When I go down to get him coffee at Clifford's, you see 3 people in the trees. Our Parks Department did a great job. They've taken the people out of there. It's an issue that we all have. Obviously, you don't want to arrest somebody. You don't want to fine them. That is in that legislation. I just want to be able to have a meeting with all of us and talk to everybody and try to address the problem. So that's all. That's the only reason that I put this here. I've already seen that I'm not compassionate for the homeless. I got a bigger heart than my body, okay? So I'm very compassionate for it. It's an issue for all of us. And everybody sitting around this table knows it's an issue. So that's the only reason. I'm just asking if we can put this in committee and call a meeting and have the proper people come around and try to talk about it. That's all I have.
Very
The
good.
local law should be laid on the table that's a local law, if you lay it on the table, that's the same thing, they have to do it anyway.
Okay.
So-
Unless you don't intend to entertain it at all, then you would not do anything.
I've got to disagree with the judge. I suggest that you put it on committee, because once it's laid on the table, you have to bring it back in committee and then relay it on the table.
If-
So my suggestion would be just to put it in committee.
If I can make a suggestion, I don't believe this needs to be a local law. I believe this can be done as an ordinance, which is one of my, I sent an email around saying, I just saw this morning. But that's one of my comments. I don't believe this needs to be a local law. It can be done as an ordinance.
Okay.
Among other changes that I.
With that
am
said, Joe,
recommending.
if you need to, put it in committee and resubmit it,
Okay.
and you can amend it as an ordinance in committee.
Okay, I
Okay.
mean, so what are we doing? We're gonna put it in committee? I mean,
That's what you want to do.
is that, okay, we're gonna put it, that's all I need. I just wanted to explain it to everybody and explain it to everybody who's listening, because of course, last night, right off the bat, we get stuff all over the place and nobody really understands our rules. These are the rules that we have to follow. So if these rules weren't here, I could say call a meeting and we wouldn't have to do any of this. So that's it. Thank you.
Very good, Joe, thank you. I agree with you. I like to put it in committee. I like to see if we can come up with some kind of solutions to help the homeless, you know, whether it be housing or jobs or whatever it is, but it's gonna be a process. And, you know, as a council, if we can do something, I think it'd be great. Any other questions? Yeah, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion.
Thank you.
will call roll.
Aiello, Burmaster, Carcone, Irvin, Beatrice, Colosimo Testa, Lemetico, Druzzi, all present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for deceased members of the town council.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does the chair hear a motion, a second, to dispense with the reading of minutes from the previous meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
There is a public hearing tonight on the sale of properties of sale of Miller Street and the sale of Whitesboro Street. There is no one signed up. Public comment period. Per section 3244, public comment period, whereas democracy relies upon the participation of elected officials and constituents alike at the beginning of each common council meeting, the common council should provide 30 minutes of public comment. The time should be allotted for those non-members who wish to express their views on anything pertaining to city business. We have 16 speakers signed up, so we will give each speaker 2 minutes to speak. First one is Richard False. Richard? Richard, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
Richard Bause, B-A-U-S-E.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council. My name is Richard Bause. I'm with the Railway Historical Society of Utica Mohawk Valley chapter here in Utica. And we had put forward a proposal for what we call the Schuyler Street Landscape and Beautification Project. Schuyler Street is an entrance into the Brewery District and also has a tower, the Sigelman's Tower. And if everybody has driven by it at least once, twice, 3 times, maybe a day. And it's one of only 4 that are left. And we're looking to take and restore the tower. I did the restoration on the tower back around 2009. And yes, you can only put just so much caulk on the pig. At this point now, we're looking to take and have the tower taken down off its pedestal, and with the gracious blessings of the people over at Sculpture Space, are going to allow us to do the renovation on the tower over there. Our request to the city is to kind of help with the streetscape, which is ADA compliant, curb cut, or concrete sidewalk replacement or curb replacement also. The vision is that the center area would also be regraded and beautified, and maybe have a raised bed with maybe a spruce tree in it. We'd also ask for Sickenberger Lane to be closed because there'd be no need for to have that crossing there anymore. I print everything on up and gave it to the engineering department, and hopefully it'll circulate on through, and hopefully you guys will help support this project.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Charles Matthias. Charles, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Please state your name.
Charles Matthews.
Thank you, Charles.
So in the fall of 2000, I had a brand new bachelor's degree, and I moved to a new city. I was working 2 jobs, and I was homeless. I didn't have enough money to pay for a security deposit. So for months, I lived in the back of my pickup truck with a thin aluminum camper shell. I did have a warm sleeping bag. For months, I was chased from parking lots to side roads to logging roads by sheriffs and rangers and security guards. Very seldomly did I get a full night's sleep. I was barely able to stay clean enough to be able to keep my high-end waiter's job as I tried to earn some money. I'm telling my story tonight because our currently unhoused neighbors hardly ever get to tell their stories in these seats of power. The problem is not the people sleeping rough. It's not the people, it's the beds. Did you know that you are just as likely to commit assault or robbery as somebody who doesn't have a place to sleep? That's right, homeless people commit crime at exactly the rate that housed people do. It's not the people, it's the beds. We don't have a low barrier shelter in Utica at this time. We don't have enough affordable and low income housing. The Section 8 waiting list is months and months long. The problem is not the people, it's the beds. When we propose building new affordable housing, people put up resistance and do the NIMBYism, not in my backyard. It's not the people, it's the beds, and sometimes people oppose more beds. I challenge the City of Utica, the Common Council, Mayor Galimi's administration, and all of us citizens to very robustly and fiercely advocate
Charles, you're going
for
to have to
more
finish up.
beds. It's not the people, it's the beds. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Next speaker, Gary, I can't pronounce your last name. It's not right now. Gary B. Yep.
I was going to speak when the issue with the police kid killing the boy.
Yeah, I get to speak about something else. I scratched my name out. I don't know if this is the appropriate time or how this works. It just for.
Okay, this is not scratched out, it says Gary.
Yeah, is this a specific issue right now at hand?
You
You can,
talk.
Gary, you can speak about anything related to city business. Gary, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Please state your name.
My name is Gary Brabham. Okay, so with the issue about concerning of the young gentleman that been brutally killed and about a hearing, I'm a community, I won't consider myself an activist, but I'm gonna stand because immediately when I heard about the incident, I called my grandson and make sure that he was home. It was such a tragedy, and I would like to show my support for the family and that police accountability should be on the spotlight right about now, you know, because there's issues that pertaining to when the kid was down already, that there was in a surrender state, and that this is someone's life. This is a livelihood that's been taken away at a very young age, and it's sad, and it happened in my community so often, and we need to see police accountability.
Thank you, Gary. Next speaker, Beth Przlewski. Beth, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
Yes, I am.
Please state your name.
Dulcie Beth Przlewski. This is my son. I lost him to the streets of Utica last August. And I'm here because he can't be. It's important to really look at the families and the homeless people because they matter. He didn't want to be homeless, and he couldn't get a job. And I'm here because he can't be, and I wouldn't be here if he was here because I would be helping him. I need to be here to help our community, and I hope you all do too.
Thank you, Beth. Hilda M. Jordan. Hilda, Common Council provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
I am.
Please state your name.
My name is Hilda M. Jordan. We live in a community that is diverse, that often experiences poverty at increasing levels. And I'm here to help us recognize that poverty is a policy choice. We all here sitting at this table have the opportunity, all of you have the opportunity and power to come up with collaborative, collective solutions that actually address the needs of the many constituents that are sitting here behind you. Homelessness, our gun crisis, and our mental health epidemic are all connected to the poverty crisis that we have in our city. Our city has received millions of dollars to address these crises, and I'm coming today to ask you to truly engage your community members in the collaborative work of designing a solution. 40% of our youth are living in poverty, struggling to overcome homelessness, violence for lack of resources, and commonly responding by carrying guns, fake guns, or even resorting to theft. I'm saying this because this is a reality of where our community is at today. We can't just blame parents or obfuscate this to teachers or someone else to solve. We, you, as the legislators, have to come up with solutions recognizing where we are now. Specifically, I want to highlight the fact that Nyamwe, who was 13 years old, did not get his chance to face any consequences of an action that really was not a crime. The crime that he committed was walking late at night to his home, carrying an imitation gun. There are more than 5,000 youth in the city of Utica that are Nyamwe's age or younger living in poverty, that are carrying guns, fake imitation guns, that are struggling to even be housed. The solution is not to criminalize their activity. It is not to over-police them. The solution has to be to fund the alternatives and the programs and the resources that can actually keep them safe.
Hilda, you're going to have to finish up, please.
Absolutely. I urge you to listen to the calls of your community members and the stories of your young constituents that are asking you to come up with solutions that are not resulting in more armed officials, and to recognize that there are police officers who are responding without the use of force, and that those are the individuals that we want to be supported in our work, and not the addition of more armed officials on our streets. Thank you.
Thank you. Senya Biku. Senya, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Please state your name.
Senya Bekwi.
Bekwi. Thank you.
I just want to echo some of the themes we've heard about so far. What you've heard about from people who've spoken so far basically boils down to the need for a real investment in public safety. And what that doesn't look like, I'm here to say, is not bloated funding for the police department. As the speaker before me just mentioned, this city has received millions of dollars in attempts to target poverty. And what we need to see, what we hear, I work for Citizen Action, we talk to people in communities door to door every day. And what we hear from people is the need for investment in their neighborhoods, investment in their communities, and the things that actually keep our communities safe. We need Utica to protect the people it claims to be proud of. And we need investment from the city for people to be respected and to have real progress happen when things like this poor child's murder for what was not a crime, just for running away, happens. And I think this relates to the other issue that we've heard people talk about, which is this injunction that's criminalizing homelessness. Again, this is not public safety. This is nothing but cruel and degrading policy that doesn't solve the problem or address any of the solutions that you have been tasked to create as the elected leaders of this city. What we need is not to criminalize the lack of basic shelter. We need affordable housing, not victim blaming. We need a low barrier shelter created in the city immediately. And we need the Common Council and the leadership of the city to be focused on making that happen to fulfill the political will of all of Utica's citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Yufei Lewin. Yufei, Common Council has provided
it's
you a
Yupa,
copy
actually.
of Section 3244 Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Please state your name.
Yupa Loen. So I actually am a lifelong resident of Utica, New York, and this past year I got to work on historic housing legislation for New York State. So if you guys don't know, this past year we actually made history as the very first state to legally reduce rents in Kingston, New York. No US state has ever reduced rents, ever. And we were able to do that because we came together to enact and adopt the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, which allowed us to regulate rents. We created a rent guidelines board, which oversaw how much landlords could raise rents. And then after that, we looked at the numbers and saw that we were facing an affordability crisis in the Hudson Valley. Now, since I've done that, multiple cities have followed in step. So New York City actually capped their rents. This past year, they did not raise rents in a few boroughs. We have Poughkeepsie follow suit. We had Hyde Park follow suit. Right now, Ithaca is enacting it. We have Albany adopting it. We have the city of Troy having a coalition that was just created yesterday enacting it. So what I'm trying to say is that Councilmember Beatrice proposed this legislation that would criminalize homelessness, but it actually doesn't solve our housing crisis. Removing people who are sleeping rough actually doesn't give them a place to sleep. These people still exist. They still need somewhere to go. There are other possibilities that we need to look at as a city. And my first suggestion is that we do what all other New York cities who have been working on actually addressing their housing crisis has done, which is look into a vacancy study for the city. I know for a fact we have room in our budget to do so, and that's the very first step that we should take. We should be protecting our neighbors. We should not be furthering the violence that they face by removing them from our streets. In fact, I believe that removing people who are sleeping in public spaces actually limits their access to public spaces and privatizes it, and that's not okay. We cannot be a city of refugees. We cannot be a city that, decries all of these moral values of welcoming our neighbors and then forcibly removing our few neighbors who have been left behind.
Yufei, you're going to finish up, please.
Thanks.
Thank you. John Nicotera. John, the Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name.
John Nicotera.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everybody. My name is John Nicotera. I've appeared here before, previously, on Common Council meetings to voice my support of keeping the traffic triangle across the street of Eastwood Ave, Dunham Road in South Utica. In the last few meetings I've been here, I've voiced my strong opinion in support of it. If we're getting rid of it, to at least reduce its size and keep it in some matter. But I felt it was more important to gauge my neighbor's opinion on this matter. Therefore, I created a petition that reads, "We, the undersigned, are in support of keeping or reducing the size of the traffic median on the corner of Eastwood Avenue and Dunham Road as it represents a beautiful green space and a valuable traffic deterrent to a problematic intersection." Over the last 2 weeks, myself and two of my neighbors We went door to door in our neighborhood in South Utica, and we collected over 100 signatures in support of keeping the traffic median, or at least just reducing the size and keeping it intact. My wife filed a copy of the petition with the city clerk's office, so I hope you all received that. And I will say, while most neighbors voiced their support of it, keeping it there as is, reducing its size, there was a large amount of people that they didn't care about the traffic triangle. They just didn't want to see another penny spent on getting rid of it, reducing its size. They felt that our tax money was spent to put it in, and our tax money should not be used again to take it out. It is my hope that the city of Utica and its representatives will listen to our neighbors and to keep the traffic circle, reduce its size, and keep it intact where it is. Thank you for your opportunity on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Kay Clow. Hi, Kay. Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244 Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Please state your name.
My name is Kay Clow.
Thank you, Kay.
Dear Mayor Galimi and members of the Common Council, we, your undersigned constituents, are writing to you with heavy hearts and a steadfast commitment to accountability and justice following the tragic and wrongful beating and death of 13-year-old Nyamwe at the hands of Utica police officers Patrick Husney, Bryce Patterson, and Andrew Citrini. This devastating event has not only caused immeasurable pain to Nyamwe's family, but also shaken the entire Utica community, refugee and American alike, highlighting the urgent need for significant reforms in your approach to community engagement, public safety, and policing. Since Nyamwe's brutal and unnecessary death on June 28, 2024, your administration has held one closed community meeting and only shared 2 postings from the Utica Police Department regarding the incident on social media, one of which was to character shame the dead. Not once did Councilmember Burmaster from Nyas District reach out to extend condolences to the family or services to support the burial or grieving of our community. Not once did you, Mayor Galimi, a father himself, extend sincere condolences to Nyamwe's parents who won't be able to celebrate their son's birthday tomorrow. Not once have you engaged the Civilian Review Board or tax-supported street outreach teams. Not once have you facilitated a meaningful and trauma-informed conversation for community members and officers. Not once has anyone from your administration explained why a child lost his right to due process or his pursuit of life. Everyone in the city deserves a human decency and transparency, especially when things go horribly wrong. Everyone in this city deserves safety in all of our communities. Rather than that human decency, transparency, and safety, we have been given a convoluted bureaucratic process with a lack of accountability and character shaming the dead in earnest and sincere hopes to restore public trust and a sense of safety for all of our community members. We respectfully request the following actions to be taken immediately and comprehensively. Urgently, we request you to issue a public statement to express condolences to the family and community, cover the burial and funeral costs for Nyamwe, and allocate funds to support the mental health expenses of his immediate family. At least provide a timeline and regular update for the investigation that includes weekly updates on the process, stage, timeline, and findings in English, Burmese, and Karen, both written and verbal formats. Clarify the steps that have been taken to engage in an independent investigator. I'm sorry?
Let her finish. You're going to have to finish up. She's going to have to finish up.
Legislative reform and funding action, reform and empower the Civilian Review Board to ensure it includes a representative sample of community stakeholders, no elected officials or law enforcement, and grants it investigatory and disciplinary powers. Redirect state and federal funding currently received by the Utica Police Department to reduce gun violence towards establishing a robust community violence interruption program that operates alongside New York State SNUG outreach program. Invest in community organizations and institutions such as the Midtown Utica Community Center, Mohawk Valley Latino Association, Mohawk Valley Junior Frontiers, Rebuilding the Village, and Utica Royalties that serve public safety by providing recreation and resources to young people. The UPD reform we request are Pass legislation requiring the UPD to record all stops, including locations, demographics of the person stopped, and the reasons for the stops without increasing additional funding. Pass legislation restricting the UPD's use of firearm force during a foot chase or street patrol. Develop and articulate a clear and feasible plan to change the demographics of the police department. Provide a quarterly update to the police departments and personnel files, which are missing key details and settlements without the allocation of more funds. And the partnership between the Utica School District and the UPD by removing school resource officers from our schools. Our schools should be places of learning and safety, not of criminalization and police surveillance. Terminate Officer Husney from the Utica Police Department, irrespective of the investigation's finding, as his unnecessary use of force positions him as a threat to our community. The wrongful death of Nyamwe demands not only our sorrow, but also our resolute action to prevent such tragedies in the future. Never again. By taking these steps, we can begin to restore the trust, ensure justice, and create a safer and more equitable environment for all residents of Utica. Thank you for your attention to these critical issues. We look forward to your prompt and positive response before the next Common Council meeting.
Chawa. Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period.
We'll be interpreting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Okay. That to me. My name is Chua. I am the mother of Nyamwe.
Cái đó ta mỏ là pele masi phô khoa khô zani, isa đó ta đã chép ho.
I want to speak a little bit about the killing of my son.
Vì vậy này, cái đó ta là pele này ta là phô khoa này chọc lô này ta là phô sa này chọc lô đó phô sa đó phô khờ đó, cho lọ khí đó thô bia khí thi li đó, ba lẽ khá si quen này, ba sai cái đó si nhà ta ghi quen mà.
The police told her that her son was killed because he had a gun. But in the video, he was already on the ground. He was already beaten down. Why did you have to shoot him while he was already being beaten down?
Vì vậy này, apia lo vậy này, cái đó là pele sơ gala ama phô khoa này. Ye do se nya la cheka lo asana pa lo aso camera khani ye do pla lo ta me ta to he pla ro le me nya mo la su ra lo te de pu lo ta ko so pu lo ko lo da la lo tv pu ne te me pho khwa go ba te me pho khwa no ke cha ba ye pho khwa na do ta khe pho be pho asu gi de pe ba ta lo pe le lo lo a camera so pla la phoi pho khwa ka la ma pho khwa ne ye do se nya lo ta me ta to ne pla ro phe phe ni mo la su ra lo ta khan ne ye te me pho te me a su li o ta khe lo khe cho lo mo.
She demands that the 3 officers there that night stop lying about her son. Whoever they said that was her son, whatever he looks like, stop lying about him. She knows she is his mother. She knows what he looks like.
Ya do se nya mo ta le pele ne a o da a ba kwa chwe ti po ko pho de me ya te ba lo ba e do lo te lo pho sa klo de me ya pho sa da sa ni te pwe a le ni klo phu le ye he ota ni queenie klo yo ma ye te leba no te block lo a yo phule wa cha klo phule ni te leba no te block a ye phone ale ni klo phule ye do sin ya lo klo to khone la bele saga la so chika sana palo ke mara no ko la si mar khani ye do phla do ta me ta to lo ta me nya ko dai
The 3 officers that murdered her son, she wants the truth to come out. Truth and justice will prevail. And the 3 officers who killed her son, she will try to seek justice and truth until it comes out.
Me ba pele saga ne amai pho ne me ba di pho aswe myo wa me ma ta ne asumu asamu pho sa sa ni te pwe asani o the chief ni lo aba ma si we ne lo wa.
The 3 officers who killed my son, if this was your child, how would you have liked it? Would you have been okay with if this was your child? Yeah. He was only a child. He was 13 years old. He did not deserve to be shot and killed in that way.
Ye heba le arabiji po wa ba ko ba ke po ye he ba dwa le pe hello wa ti ba ko ba dwa le ta pho sa ne akhwe yan me ya ta le pho sa ne asani me de pwe ba ne ta khwe ta ya o la ko me ya ai ba pho sa asani ta pwe pe le la khasi ya ga ne a chomo wa cha le khasi ye pho ne ye do sin ya le ta ge de kha ne a phla ro lo do ko do phla le ye me sa khli pu ma la su ra ro le ta ko so pu le te de pu ne ye te me ye pho ba te me a li ta.
Stop spreading the lies about my son on the news. That is not my son. And the police officers who killed my son, what was he thinking in that moment? Why did he kill my son? We need answers.
No, we run it. Ye pone asani de peba tela a choklo ne ye do se ya le tagita klo ne posa the pokli the meya a choklo ataka mame on ne posa the pokli joro ju telete ju mo takama oli the meya tela choklo we run it go tia mo pa mo takama me order bokatulo mo pota ma me order the meda ide có thiết cho phố tới mẹ nó phố mắc cái tay ra tập khơi nó thiết đó mà chồng mà trả lại là khả sinh phố đi nè nó xa mưa trả gì.
Are you happy that you killed my son? If it was your son, would you be okay with this? He was a minor. He was only 13 years old. Why did you have to kill him? You could have, if he was doing something wrong, if he had the toy gun, you could have called the parents, talked to the parents about it.
Ye te ra no mi ba ye te ta bwe ni lo ye do lo camera la pele so to a che ka lo ka ne ta me ta to ne o lo pele o lo camera sa pla la ma po kwa ne ye do pla ro lo mu cha te ni nya ye do sin nya le ta ge ta to ne pla ro no ko le ye me nya le ta ja ni lo ta blo lo.
To the 3 officers, we demand justice, we demand transparency, we demand truth, and we won't stop fighting until the truth comes out. Namwe was only 13. he should still be here.
Lay 2. Lay 2.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Lay, public comment period.
Yes, I am.
Excuse me, sir. Hey,
Sorry, it was just.
can't do it. Lay, common council's provided you a public comment period, section 3244. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Wako min le tu no, ye ke ra atino, pe ke la mya atino.
My name is Leitu. I am Yamwe's uncle.
Ye ke ra te wa ta to ta wa ko pu ko pola.
I will say a short speech.
No, pe ke ra po nyo pho te glu pe ha la wa ko ba ke pu da la pe mi wa nyo pho ma pe ha la ko klei ne po mo sa wa la pe ke pho la gi ga da ke hin la ta ku ba ku se da la pe ke pe pho da li mya win ne mam ta ku ba ku se ne la apaton la go na o kha sunya de no.
Oh, we are Korean, we are refugees, and we have come from war and poverty and violence. And our parents fled war and violence so that their kids, their children can have access to peace, education, and a chance at life.
Di dalam petira mutinya di dalam produk power masih tu ni bapa sana mui wala di dalam meba kiwedala pehela meba kiweda punya tegara ne petina ki bapa sana mui wala ya tadi la kena isel ba di dah di dalam pehela kau kalau musawa di dalam wa masih lagi pokok je podo mo di dalam mana ki bayi sana mui.
We have come to America seeking safety, but my nephew has passed away, and I'm not happy.
Đi đó đi dễ rồi lúc đó tâm ta to nè, bây giờ phô đô khoa gõ nhau muối, đi đó là tâm ta to gặp phala số này, qua để di dalam parti migi kalau ke sela mo pa kalau ke sini pera ti wala tamita to kalala.
We all want peace. We all want the truth to come out.
Thank you.
Gay. The Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Go ahead, hey.
My name is Ege. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ege, and I'm a student at high school, at Proctor High School. I am here today to demand justice for Nyamwe, a young boy whose life was taken too soon. Nya was just like many of us, full of dreams and hopes. He was a bright light in our community, but that light was extinguished by an act of violence that should have never happened. We are here to ensure that Nya's death is not in vain and that his family receive the support they desperately need. Nya's family is going through unimaginable pain. Losing a child is something no parent should ever endure, and the financial burden of funeral and burial costs only adds to their suffering. I have seen the pain in Nya's parents' eyes, especially in the viral picture on social media of the mother crying on the morning of the parents' conference. I will never forget the anger, sadness, and frustration I saw in his mother's eyes. No parent should bury their 13-year-old child. We demand that the city cover the funeral and burial costs, as well as the mental health expense for Nya's family. This is the least the city can do to help them cope with their devastating loss. I stand here today to demand that the mayor's office and the Utica Police Department offer an official apology and admission of wrongdoing for the murder of Nyamwe. Acknowledging their mistake is the first step towards healing. It's not just about admitting fault. It's about showing that Nya's life mattered, that such a tragedy should have never happened again. Thank you.
Gloria He. Gloria, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244 public comment period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gloria, and I'm a resident of Utica. Today I'm here to speak on the need for transparency in the investigation of Nyamwe's death. Our community is grieving, and we deserve to know the truth. The investigation into Nya's death must be transparent and fair. We demand weekly updates in English, Burmese, and Karen, both written and verbalized publicly. Our parents and grandparents especially have a difficult time understanding because they have to work and never got the chance to go to school and study. We are asking that you promote transparency by improving information accessibility for everyone. Transparency cannot start without information accessibility. Lack of transparency discourages one from civic engagement and participation. We cannot engage with the government if we do not understand what is happening. Transparency is key to rebuilding trust between the police and our community. We must ensure that the investigation process is open and accessible to everyone affected by this tragedy. Thank you.
K. Paul. Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244 public comment period. In agreement?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ekapa, and I'm here to demand accountability for the death of Nyamwe. The officers involved in Nyamwe's death have lost the trust of our community. Regardless of the investigation's findings, they should be fired from the Utica Police Department. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and it has been irrevocably broken. Irrespective of the investigation findings, his unnecessary use of force positions him as a threat to our community. Our parents hesitate to let us out the doors these days because they feel as if our neighborhoods and homes are unsafe. We cannot allow officers who have violated our trust to continue serving. For our community to heal and move forward, these officers must be held accountable. Thank you.
Kelly Scott. Kelly, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244 public comment period. Are you in agreement?
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly.
I am the founder of Build for Good, a housing justice organization serving the Mohawk Valley. I began working in the homelessness service sector in 1996. I've worked directly with people experiencing homelessness and held multiple leadership roles in the sector throughout my career. I am also a person with lived experience of homelessness. I think it's safe to say I know a thing or two about the issue. Those of us working to solve local homelessness know that the dominant narrative is about personal failure, placing blame on unhoused people rather than failing systems, harmful policies, and inequitable funding decisions that have made housing unaffordable and out of reach for many of our neighbors. By centering on individual fault, local homelessness is viewed as an unsolvable problem. This false narrative of personal responsibility keeps our local policymakers focused on short-term approaches aimed at punishing people who have no realistic pathways to housing. Let me be clear that this proposed law is counterproductive to what you are trying to accomplish. Criminalization measures will not solve local homelessness. This proposed law will not reduce the number of people currently experiencing homelessness, and it will not fix the systemic problems that cause it. It will only force our unhoused neighbors to find places to survive that are less visible, more isolated, and more hazardous, and some will die. And those who are able to survive these conditions will still be homeless. Fines and jail time under this proposed law will only trap our unhoused neighbors in cycles of criminalization that hurt their prospects for future housing and employment. Homelessness is a housing problem that our local criminal justice system is not equipped to solve. If the city of Utica has a real desire to end local homelessness, we must pivot away from approaches that are costly and ineffective. I urge each of you to ask your colleagues in local government, why are we creating policies around this issue in isolation? Why are our public officials not communicating with their colleagues who are working tirelessly to end homelessness? Why is the city of Utica failing to make effective use of federal, state, and local resources that are already dedicated to addressing homelessness? Most egregiously, why does the city of Utica continue to strategically ensure that the very people who have experienced the most harm from the impacts of homelessness are denied access, voice, and power and community-level decisions around this issue? I believe that we are better than this. Instead of perpetuating harmful practices that are proven to amplify the trauma and suffering of our unhoused neighbors, we can make a choice tonight to meet our housing crisis with proven solutions at the scale necessary to address the problem. The solutions to end homelessness are straightforward. It starts with housing.
There is no common council guest speaker. Communication from the mayor? None. Report of city officers. Brian Thomas, Urban Renewal. Yeah, go ahead. Please state your name.
I'm Pastor James Lilly, Tabernacle of Deliverance in Christ, Lincoln Avenue and Shaw Street. And the incident happened right on the block where my church is. And I'd just like to say, you know, we as citizens have to be concerned about our children, not allow them to have weapons. We have to check our children. And I'd just like to state that the whole police department is not wrong, but the ones that are doing wrong have to held accountable and hold up the law, because we are all for the law. And if we go over the law, then we should be prosecuted, regardless who we are. Now, parents, please check your children, check your surroundings of weapons, because soon as something happens, oh, not my child, no, my children didn't do this, but please do that, because we have to be accountable of what our surroundings are and what we say, and most of all, have faith in God. Believe that God will work out problems and solutions if we just stop trying to work out things according to what this one say or that one say. I mean, how many praying people are in the house today? Oh, bless the Lord. We need to continue praying, and not only praying, but put our words in action. So y'all pray my strength in the Lord. Watch out for your children, because we are all responsible for our children. Amen.
Got it? Guys.
I'm on the list. I'm on the list.
Wait, listen. What's your name?
I thought the list was over.
God gives me. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is God Gibbs, and I'm here to speak on the importance of investing in our community.
Excuse me. If you continue, you're going to be asked to leave.
Good evening. My name is God Gibbs, and I'm here to speak on the importance of investing in our community. Nya was an active member of our community, participating in activities at places like the Midtown Utica Community Center. These institutions provide recreation and resources to young people, helping to keep them safe and engaged. I have benefited greatly from the MUC tutoring program. The MUC tutoring program attracts people from diverse backgrounds, including experienced educators, college students, and community volunteers. Students benefit from this variety, gaining insight from different culture and educational backgrounds, which enhance their learning experience and broadens their understanding of the world. We demand that the city invest in the community institutions such as the Midtown Utica Community Center, Mohawk Valley Latino Association, Mohawk Valley Junior Frontiers, and Utica Royalties. These organizations play a crucial role in public safety and should be supported to honor Nya's memory. Thank you. My name is God Gives Me Too.
Are there any more guests, any more speakers? Is your name on here?
Yeah, I'm out. It's scribbled on it. Yeah, it's right there.
But what's your real name?
Hamza Sinanai. My name is Hamza Sinanai.
The Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244. Are you in agreement?
I'm in agreement. Yeah, I'm sorry for the way this all is played out, but I've known this man for a long time. He's a God-fearing man. He's not victim blaming. Things were probably misconstrued. We have all due respect to the mother and the family and everybody here. You know, I apologize on his behalf. There's a lot of intensity here tonight, and I came here to speak on another subject, so I want you to bear with me. Whatever's going on with the criminalization of homeless people, I'm really happy that this conversation has started, but there's an answer to it, and it lies on Whitesboro Street, the reopening of the psychiatric center. The only way to handle mental illness, especially at this magnitude, is through the state. This psychiatric center was opened in 1832. James Madison, a founding father of the Constitution, was alive when this building was made. This building progressed society. Even in 1832, there was a mental health issue in this country. We are recognizing that there's a mental health issue, and the fact that it's been going on for the last 30, 40 years, it's been closed, it's gone out of control, and it's made our police force more brutal, and we could see what's happened from it all. Whatever goes down, you're gonna have meetings, you're gonna do a lot of things, but the point of it all is this crosses party lines. We must reopen the psychiatric center. We must give free mental health care for people. Once again, it's very important that we get this done. It'll reduce our budgets. It'll actually make a better society for us to live in that everyone's talking about right now. The answer lies in the past and the recognition that mistakes were made. And it's important that we come clean on everything. There's too much internet. There are too many crazy people. We're all gonna get in a lot of trouble if we don't start talking about the solution. And the solution is free mental health care for people. Bring back the sign-in sheet, give them what they want. They were allowed to leave. It wasn't a prison. It was free mental health care for men, and there was nothing wrong with it. And we messed it all up, but I think this is gonna cross party lines. I think you guys need to band together, you know, especially with other mayors. If you're gonna have meetings, the whole point of the meeting is reopening the hospital, man, because things are getting, I don't know, they're getting a little tense, not only here, but nationally, things are getting a little intense. And it's important that here in Utica that we be honest about the situation. We unleashed murderers, robbers, and rapists into our society, and they've caused hell. And they've scared all the old people, and they're voting for more police and more money and all this shit we're doing right now. It's a nightmare. We must reopen the psychiatric center. It's the only way out of this. And not only will it help our society, but I think it'll help nationwide. The entire country is having mental health issue. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay. Any more speakers? That's it. Last speaker. What's your name, please?
Raven Finn.
Raven what?
Raven Finn.
Raven Finn. You have 2 minutes, Raven.
Alrighty, so first of all, I just want to address the last speaker and say that historically speaking, when we're talking about the institutionalization of people who are suffering from mental health crises, it actually in fact increases the symptoms of those mental illnesses. And I can speak personally from experience, having had a mother who went in and out of this very psych ward for over 17 years. So I can say that from the perspective of, let me speak, from the perspective of a child of someone who suffered from mental illness, I can say not being able to see my mother for over 17 years definitely negatively impacted my own mental illness. So I can also just say simply that mental illness, the issue of homelessness, the murder and assassination by impoverished people, by armed actors of the state known as the police and the military, is all a symptom of the same problem, which is a system of exploitation, where oppressed people are brought into a country which has no interest in them except for the cheap labor and the oppression that they can cause to them through militarization and the exploitation of their natural resources, such as their labor. So the reason why we're having this conversation in the first place is because this country was colonized and this country was put on top of an already existing people group. Multiple different indigenous peoples and nations lived here prior to colonization. And the reason why we are dealing with homelessness, poverty, addiction, mental illness is because we live within a colonial system where oppressed people are not able to have the resources, the means to live in their hands under their control and have to pay tax money to get people here to sit here and pretend like they're listening when we all know that none of them care. They're going to vote however they want to vote. They don't care. So we're wasting our time here, folks. Anybody on this floor who cares, actually cares, go out here and talk to these people after the fact. But if you genuinely care, go over there, talk to the family and the community, come up with a problem outside of here without you all collecting a check on top of it. Thank you.
Public comment period's over. Report of city officers, Brian Thomas, Urban Renewal.
Nothing to report.
Listen, if you continue, you're going to be asked to leave. You just can't shout out. Sam, I don't want to hear it. Brian Thomas, Urban Renewal.
Nothing to report.
Stephanie DeGiorgio, Corporation Counsel.
Nothing to report.
Listen. Hey, Jimmy, he's going to have to go.
Jimmy. Fuck it is. I ain't got nowhere. You got a problem? Come kick me the fuck out.
Yeah, so what's point of order? Chief Noonan? Huh? Mike Gentile? No, I'm not sure. Mike? Anything? Nothing. Mark Sokolowski? Nick Breidenbecker? Marcus Phillips? Okay. Petitions, remonstrances, and appeals. First Ward Council Member, KDIL.
Mr. President, if we can just take a moment. Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. I reached out with many of you even before this, and I've gotten to know many of you, and I'm grateful you're here. I think we're all bringing a lot of important issues to the table. I had some issues also that I wanted to address with the city. I've actually written out even before knowing the groups that would be here tonight and the legislation that would bring people here. But I still wanted to address these matters. So I just basically wanted to take a moment tonight to respond on the floor to the spiteful signs the administration placed in the center of the Franklin Square alley last week. the relevance of this, I think, will come full circle. But ironically, the sign intended to promote safety has become a hazard itself by placing it directly in the center of the walkway, overlooking the very safety concerns they claim need to be addressed, even though engineers already told the administration the alleyway is in fact safe. While the sign itself reads "No bare feet, abrasive surface," it also serves as another sign that Utica is back to the day of petty politics. As was the case with removing the traffic island in South Utica, these decisions don't hurt your opponents, they only hurt the people. In this case, a permitted party took place in the alleyway 2 weeks ago. There were hundreds of people there enjoying it, contradicting months of alleged controversy. But they were the wrong type of people, and they were enjoying a space championed by the wrong type of person. A week later, the administration barricaded off the alleyway, lied about liability concerns to do so. Also, they put up these signs. I checked, and there has been no notice of claim. I'm here to say I wish this administration had the same drive to fix the zip line that has been broken at Kemble Park for a year, pave a single road in Corn Hill, address our homelessness, our lead, or relieve our police officers from having to run a dog kennel. But as we enter month 8 of this administration, it appears to me the number one job continues to be how to settle political scores at any cost, literally. From what I can tell, it isn't focused on prioritizing what matters, like passing a capital plan to replace our ambulances and getting equipment for our first responders, which that will now be 5 months late. But now they can add spiteful signage to their list of accomplishments. I guess the city has nothing better to do than spend time and resources preventing the non-existent people that are walking barefoot in downtown through the alleyway. The sign's poor placement and grammar speaks to the impulsivity of their decisions. If the administration is going to leave the sign up, please correct those errors. In the meantime, this sign doesn't just symbolize misplaced priorities, it physically embodies them. And since you don't like it when I say it on Facebook, I thought I'd say it here on the floor. This administration has bad priorities. So I'm asking the city to please start focusing on priorities that actually matter to us. Thank you for your time.
Second Ward Council Member Bob Burmaster.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mental health is a very damning to the family, to the person. I've been around mental health all my life. I just lost a friend a couple weeks ago. He jumped in front of a train. If you see it, try to reach out. There are facilities, not what we used to have. The state closed a lot of them back in the 90s, but mental health is an issue that I have no solution for, and we need the state's help. It's not just the city's problem; it's the state, the federal government, and if you see somebody going through a bad time, as a friend, as a family member, reach out to them. I guess that's all I have to say, and thank everybody for coming tonight. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council Member. Fourth Ward Council Member Frank Carcone.
A lot of the issues here are up to the state, and we don't have much say about it, but we can work for it.
Thank you. Fifth Ward Council Member Van Serven.
Thank everybody for coming tonight, for using the public comment period the way it should be used to voice your opinions and make your voices heard. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Sixth Ward Council Member Joe Beatrice.
Yes, thanks, Mr. President. Again, thank you all for coming. Katie, I just do want to say, I guess my daughter must be the wrong type of people because she was at that party. And lastly, I'd like to mention again, to reiterate for the people who weren't here at 6 o'clock, the reason for me putting this legislation in committee is so we have legislation and we can have a meeting to try to talk about the problem we have with the homeless and the other issues we have. So that's the only reason that was there. So thanks again. Have a great night.
Council Member at Large, Jack Lemedico. Count, okay.
Just want to reiterate, I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and the people up here do want to help out. So I disagree with that gentleman that just left. We are here to help, and I'm here to walk through the through the crowd that came today to listen to some of your issues. I've been trying to reach out, and I'm looking forward to finding not the issues, but some answers. Because everybody has issues. It's coming up with answers, specifically with the homeless. The homeless people aren't throwaway people. They're human beings like the rest of us. And I actually commend Joe for bringing it forward, because what he's doing, and he's bringing it to the council so we could put it into the committee, so we could start talking about the homeless, so we could start bringing people in, such as that young lady. Who's that? Thank you. And I'd like to get your name after this, so we could bring you in and tell us about some of the organizations that you're working with. Because, to be honest with you, somebody mentioned vacancy study. Well, have we done one? I don't know if we've done one, and maybe that's my ignorance, but I'm looking to learn, because I know this is an issue. I'm looking about low barrier housing. I really don't know what low barrier housing is. I want to learn about low barrier housing. How can it help the people out there? So yeah, we're standing in a circle over here, but it's not like we want to help, but we need to learn a little from the public and from people that are in the business, so we can make intelligent decisions, so we can call on our lawmakers in the state, in the city, in the federal government to come here and help us. But we need people like yourself to come in and teach us these things. Because, like I said, I'm certainly no expert on it. I've been trying to read up on it because I understand the importance of this. So, in this Emergency Protection Act that I was hearing about, not protection, is it Emergency Protection Act, or had to do with keeping the housing at a certain amount? But these are the things that I'd like to learn. So when we do have this discussion, we could put something in. Yeah, we could put something into effect here. So yeah, we really appreciate y'all coming today for all your reasons. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Member. Yep. Motion to introduce proposed resolution number 1. Second. Authorizing sale of beer and wine to Utica Center for Development. Utica Center for Development, July 4th celebration, Saturday, August 31st, 2024, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Proctor Park, 900 Culver Ave, Utica, New York, 13501. Your votes, please.
Frank?
7 yeas adopted.
Mr. President, I'd like to take a 2-minute recess to let everybody leave before we continue.
Just a 2-minute recess. Oh, I thought we were. Sorry. I'm hungry. I gotta start bringing pizza or something.
Councilmember Carcone, you coming back?
He had to go to the restroom.
Did he have to go to the restroom?
Yeah, so he thought it was a recess. It's not a bad idea. Oh yeah, that's right. He's a Gemini too. Oh, we're screwed. Me, Sam.
Motion to introduce proposed resolution number 2.
Motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
Calling for a public hearing on the sale of the lot at 909 Saratoga Street, whereas an offer to purchase 909 Saratoga Street has been
You know, I was
received by the
thinking
Utica
180
Urban
was
Renewal Agency
90
from
bucks.
Melvin Urena, whereas the purchase price for this property is $250. Common Council will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Your votes, please.
6 yeas adopted.
Motion to commit proposed ordinance number 3.
Motion. I'll let you. I'll second it. Yeah.
Commit. A motion to introduce proposed resolution number 4.
Thank you. Is there a motion to introduce?
Second. Calling for a public hearing on the sale of the lot at 1539 Howard Ave, whereas an offer to purchase 1539 Howard Avenue has been received by the Urban Renewal Agency from Kim Duff, whereas the purchase price for this property is $250. Common Council will conduct a public hearing on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Votes, please.
6 yeas adopted.
Motion to commit.
Motion to put in committee.
Yep. Committed. A motion to introduce proposed resolution number 5.
Motion.
Second. Ordinance approving the designation of Kim Dupp as eligible and qualified project sponsor pursuant to Article 15. Whereas the purchase offer for this property has been received by Urban Renewal for a deposit of $250. Further be ordained that the chairman of the what's this? Oh, it's okay. Excuse me. Motion to introduce proposed ordinance number 6.
Motion.
Second. Yep. Amending section 216-368 Schedule M limited parking. Be it ordained that section 216-368 limited parking 15 minutes during certain hours be amended as follows. Limited parking 15 minutes from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Signs on the southern curb line at the parking spaces located on Liberty Street from North Genesee Street to Hotel Street. 5 parking spaces.
Chief,
Your
and
votes,
this is from UPD.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Votes?
7 yeas adopted.
Motion to introduce proposed ordinance number 7.
Motion.
Second. Second. Ordinance amending the composition of the Bureau of Police to add a captain, be it ordained 22167 of the Code of Ordinances of the Utica City is hereby amended to read as follows. Composition of Bureau of Police, the sworn personnel strength and composition of the Bureau of Police of the Department of Public Safety shall consist of 1 chief, 1 deputy, 4 captains, 6 lieutenants, 26 sergeants, 110 police officers, 22 investigators, 170 total.
If I have a motion to amend, do I wait?
Is there a motion to amend the 106?
Yes, I have a motion to amend the 106 at the bottom to say 105 positions and the total complement shall be reduced by the same.
Votes to amend it?
I'm going to vote for this, but I'm dead set against amending a prior piece of legislation that had a sunset clause. They had the complement at 111 because that's based what our actual table of organization is. Again, we had a huge problem with table of organization and during the budget season. Now we're amending it. That should be amended through the Board of E&A as well. to have that, bring that down to that 110. I would hope so, and I would assume that that would be there. And just going back to the C component of Section C of the complement, you know, again, I think this leaves a very broad window for where we wanted to, and what intents and purposes we had for this piece. I never agreed to put a sunset clause in there, and I just want to clarify that I still don't agree keeping that sunset clause in there. But obviously, there's no room for adjustments and no room for discussion because the ordinance needs to be passed, so therefore, I'll be supporting it. But I wanted to make note that I still don't appreciate the fact that there's a sunset clause.
7 yeas to amend. And now your votes on the
Make a
piece,
motion?
please.
Yeah.
7 yeas adopted.
Motion to commit. Is that what we're?
Yeah. Motion to put in committee a local law to prohibit camping or sleeping on City of Utica parks, public sidewalks, streets, alleyways, other public rights of way. Committed. Motion to introduce proposed resolution number 8. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Marriage officer, be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 49 of the laws of New York, the Common Council does hereby appoint the following person as a marriage officer, the term of which should be from August 7th, 2024 to December 31st, 2025. Michael Gentile, 484 Van Ellis Road, Utica, New York, 13501. Be it further resolved that this resolution should take effect immediately. Your votes, please.
7 yeas adopted.
I'm going to move ordinance 9, resolution 9.
Can I have a motion to pull?
Motion.
Motion to pull what?
What? For which one?
Super.
Yes.
Second.
I know.
Motion to introduce proposed ordinance number 3. Votes, please.
Sam.
I know, I'm coming, I'm sorry.
7 yeas adopted.
Motion.
Seven yeas adopted.
Is there anything else to pull?
Do I need to submit our minutes?
I just need to put the, to establish the standard work days, I just got to put that in committee. So I'd like to make a motion to commit.
There's no subpoena. Hope you drink less water. Three times this week.